to build free, anti-caste, feminist, disability-inclusive libraries. Why this is not just about access, but about justice and how we can influence policy at national level to guarantee the right to read for all. The People's National Library Policy (PNLP), which is a work in progress, which we launched on 14th April last year at Baba Saheb's birth anniversary, advocates for libraries that are publicly funded, locally autonomous, and radically inclusive. Our discussion today will dive deep into why this is necessary and how we can make it a reality. We have an incredible panel with us today, each of whom has played a key role in shaping and advocating for these ideas in our People's National Library Policy, and their ideas are shaped while working at the grassroots level inside libraries, which are a member of Free Libraries Network. I'll introduce our panelists today. Our first panelist is Amit. Amit is a Dalit queer anti-caste library activist from a village near Allahabad, Uttar Pradesh. Amit inaugurated the physical space of Savitribai Phule Village Library and Resource Center, a collaborative effort from their community to provide an accessible library entirely funded and built from the labor of love of their village. The next we have Oshin from Free Libraries Network. Oshin believes public libraries are a powerful weapon to break the systematic barriers to reading and information. Through her activism, she advocates for libraries as essential sites for anti-caste resistance. Currently, she is a youth leader at the Community Library Project Delhi and community organizer at Free Libraries Network. Next, we have Rituparna. Rituparna is a queer rights activist. Rituparna is a queer rights activist, storyteller based out of Assam. They are the founder and director at Akam Foundation, working on education and gender justice. They have been advocating for free community libraries as feminist spaces, ensuring right to read for all. We have Shahnaz. Shahnaz is the founder of Reading Free Solve All Access Problems. But we know that caste-based exclusion operates in deeper ways. How do we go beyond simply hanging an all are welcome sign and actually build libraries that break these barriers?
Thank you so much, Jatin, and Jai Bhim to everyone. Today we are talking about libraries and free libraries. As a Dalit person, Dalit and trans person, we face lots of discrimination and challenges in childhood. So even we are not fluently talking in English. This is my first time I try to speak in English. When I speak in English, so I don't care people understand or don't understand, because when we are thinking about that, we are not confident. And also some written things. Yes, of course, free is important, but not enough. As Dalit trans person, we never found the space in government schools and even in universities so express ourselves and question in the classroom. So that time we faced lots of caste-based discrimination. In the casteist way, it's like casteist abuse. And even today, our Dalit and oppressed community face lots of discrimination and also face challenges. And also, RT Act 2019 give free and compulsory education to age group of 6 to 14 year children, but while also faced discrimination, the children. because of the space is not anti-caste. The reason is that space are not anti-caste, that's why we Dalit people face numerous challenges. And anti-caste space make us feel proud, accepted and sense of belonging. And anti-caste libraries are crucial because they promote inclusive learning, reading and provide space for thinking and dreaming, especially for historically and systematically oppressed communities. They foster social justice too. And anti-caste libraries matter, and it's essential that all spaces becomes anti-caste space. Yeah.
Thank you, Amit. Amit, from his own experiences, clearly talks about that why these spaces should be anti-caste. And there is a need that the element of anti-caste gets into policy so that any time any operation takes place, the people there, the community takes recourse in that policy. Thank you so much, Amit, for sharing your experiences. Second is that we often hear argument for sliding scale fees, nominal charges, security deposits as a way to make libraries accessible and also responsible. But these models still exclude people. Oshin, in your experience, can you explain why even a rupees 50 annual fee or security deposit creates inequality? How do we convince policymakers that nominal fees are still exclusionary? The library that I run in my own village, we see that women are often excluded from public reading spaces due to cultural barriers. So how can libraries be intentionally designed as safe, inclusive spaces for women and marginalized groups?
Jai Satrangi Salam. My name is Oshin, and I was born in a Dalit Ambedkarite family in Maharashtra. I was born into a family where I was introduced to the stories of great anti-caste activists and leaders like Ambedkar, like Phule and Shahji Rai Gaikwad, where I was taught the stories of Ambedkar, where he was restricted from studying and he fought against the caste system by studying further. He wrote to transform and he told and his writings he told his community us that the way out is to educate, agitate and organize. By his writing I was so moved that I was determined to study further till the end of my life. Such is the power of a culture of reading, where access to education and reading has been denied since so long. A power of the power of culture of reading can give us the determination to study further, even when we see in our society that it is denied to us. I was introduced to reading, as I said, that I was introduced to the readings of Ambedkar and it has such a huge impact on my life. But it is a matter of sheer luck that I was introduced to his readings. Today I had access to his books, but someone else from my community in Delhi or my sister who wasn't born in an environment like I was, they didn't have access to reading. Reading should not be a matter, the right to reading should not be a matter of sheer luck, but it is, as I said, it should be a right. It should be a right that should be guaranteed to all of us. A culture of reading has never existed in India, and it has never been existed because reading and education has been kept away from the majority of this population since centuries, and therefore libraries should be, and therefore therefore libraries should be free, because we have to welcome people into reading, because it's a matter of right and it shouldn't be a matter of luck that because we are born in a family which already has readers, which we go to schools which already have readers, that we can so that we can enter into reading. access to reading has been denied to us since centuries. That is what I've been telling. And when we enter into schools, I've completed my graduation from Delhi University. The kind of education that we get here is the kind of education that wants to push us into the labor force again, which doesn't teach us how to think, but it teaches us it teaches us, as I said, to push us into labor force. The kind of education that we get in university has a very narrow relationship with literacy. The literacy is the definition of literacy is someone who can read and write. But the broader definition of literacy is related to literature, where it is not just that we can read and write, but 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 that reading and writing can strengthen our thinking, and it gives us the opportunity to think beyond our immediate circumstances, to imagine. And it's just not about reading and writing, which are only the essential skills to join a workforce. But reading and writing are essential tools to empower ourselves and to empower our community. So in our education system, and the historic discrimination that we have been facing due to caste, it is a systemic distancing of knowledge and information. And libraries are organized way to a systemic ways that turn non-readers to readers and readers to thinkers and leaders. Therefore, libraries, it is very important that libraries are free, so that we welcome everyone into reading. Not just people who can read. In the libraries that I see around me, which are the government libraries or the libraries that we see around, there are only people who can read that come into the libraries. But libraries should be spaces that people who cannot read and who have been kept away from reading should also be a part of the library. We are the people who require library the most, and therefore libraries should be free for all.
Thank you. Definitely. At TCLP, where I started volunteering, for the first time I was introduced to a community library. There is a slogan that we follow, that reading is thinking, and reading is not just to pass exams, to get a job. And definitely libraries should be free, because the village that I belong to, I personally know of families of people for whom even a 10 rupee a month could be a big amount. And even minimal fees or bureaucratic hurdles that we see, like you have to get your Aadhaar card, you have to get your BPL card to get enrolled in a library. It disproportionately exclude the poorest and most marginalized people, while cultural barriers like patriarchy, as I mentioned, or caste stigma keeps the whole community away from reading and from these spaces. Rituparna, in your experience, can you share something that why library should be free in all sense?
Thank you, Jaji. Zindabad, Shatrangi Salam, Jai Bhim, Johar. I am Rituparna. I come from Assam, which is in the northeast corner of this country. And why I am sitting here today and speaking to in front of everyone, it is because I had the luck, probably what my co-panelist was also talking about a reading, but it was not supposed to be a matter of luck, but then it was a matter of my right to read. The question you asked about the free library, because I come from a rural area and growing up in a village in Assam, being a trans person, being a queer person, the life I wanted to aspire, it was because I had books in my hand. And those books I got because I belong to a family where teaching is one of the kind of job my family pursued, and this is where I had probably access to books. And I belong to a village where we were internally displaced because of flood and soil erosion. So we saw extreme poverty and also social exclusion, because within our own state only or in the own place only, you were treated as a second-class citizen because you were migrant, or you are displaced. So this is where we really did not see from in my childhood. The children of our village, my peers, or even my adults also, could mingle in the mainstream society in and around. So we were already pushed out of the system in that way. Somehow when I look at myself now and look at my childhood friend, I see that probably I could aspire a life different way, and I saw my childhood friends ending up becoming a construction worker, or especially with all my friends who were girls, they ended up being married in an early age, like 17, 18, and they all are mother now. So I always think about it, just why this is, why I could aspire a life of dignity, and then a rightful decision about myself, that I have a choice to make decision about myself and how I want to lead my life. It was because I had a book in my hand. I had the book in my hand till class 7th or 8th standard. It was because of my family, not because of a space which was inclusive or which invited me to be part of it. But I got a wonderful, excellent library. I'm using the word excellent library in my school when I was shifted to a bigger school. So in my village school, I did not have library. There were no books. Maybe at home, little bit books were there, but in the school, I got a excellent library. And I will say it was free because it had no extra fees in that way, and also it was free because it decided the timing of the library according to the need of the students, need of the children, and it was open during the leisure time as well. And it gave me a window to read more and more and aspire a dignified life in a better way. And after that college library or academic library I got, but I never saw a public library in that way. After my class 10th standard, I used to go to the district library, which was only one public library in the district. And it had the barrier of just 10 or 50 rupees. I'm using the word just 10 or 50 rupees, but it has an enormous barrier of documentation. I need to bring a PRC, Permanent Residential Certificate, just to go and read. Just imagine. And I was just a young person who was 16 years young. After class 10 standard, because that time I had the liberty to go to the town, and the library was situated 11 kilometers away from my village. So 3 kilometers you have to come by a cycle, then another 7.5 kilometers you have to go by a tempo or an auto in a shared rickshaw, and then another 10 minutes you have to walk to the library, and that's how you can go to the library. So I had the window of that, but then I felt that barrier, and also my friends, like from where we will get the document, how we will give that, and also the diverse collection of books were also not there. It was not inviting, it was not welcoming for us. So when I talk about access or free access or equal access for every one of us, it has to be free. It is not just the nisulk, so muft mein diya hai, or someone is doing ihsan on you in that way. No, it is rightfully for us. So when I'm talking about free library space, it is not just about the fees, but also a space for free thinking. It is space for a diverse collection where the reader can make choice the which book I want to pick up, where community reading happens or collective reading happens. Because in our country, whenever we talk about reading, we always talk about as an individual act. Or maybe you are reading in leisure, or maybe you are reading for competitive exam, or reading for leisure or reading for pleasure. It is most for the elite people, or people who can afford, or people who have ample of luxury in their life, and reading is also one part of their luxury. But for a person like me who is a trans person, it is right for me, because when I read, I can think, and when I think, I can aspire the life I want to have. And also for my own community, that how I want to organize my community, how I want to assert my rights within the constitutional framework of our country. And all of it, all these questions could happen in a library which is free, where it's equal, where you are not discriminated because you belong to certain gender identity, because you have certain sexual orientation, because you belong to a certain religious identity or religious minority identity, because you belong to a certain caste. And some people may dismiss our argument when we are talking about library as an anti-caste feminist space which talks about ableism, against ableism. People will say that certainly library is all about this. Library is an equal space. But do we see those libraries in our country? We do not see. Some or the other way it discriminates or it eliminates some of the people among us. Maybe your library program will be not in that way that everyone can participate. Maybe it talks a lot about ableism in the library program. Or maybe you don't have books in your collection which has a diverse collection. Then how can we talk that it's essentially equal space? Why I am talking about this? Because I was in a big university for a visit and I went and I talked to the head librarian of the university library, and when I had this argument that our library needs to be anti-caste, feminist, and our argument I made, and he said that no, libraries are essentially like this. I said no sir, because from your library, it's an academic library, I heard from girls to them that they are dared to enter the library because they were in a skirt. Then is it a free library? It's a university library, right? So then how we are looking at gender aspect as well? Maybe you will have a program or you will not have even a reading program which will cater to the community or the readers within your library who can think about caste oppression and who can ask about it, or maybe it is patronizing in a different way. Then how we talk about library space which will serve for everyone. So this is where when I'm talking about all our aspiration, people who are at a margin, like all of us who are here, or maybe so many of you who are sitting in the audience now, or maybe you will speak also here, for us to aspire and to assert our rights in a democratic country, in a welfare country, where our constitution guarantees our equal rights. We need those spaces from where we can freely think and we can ask for it. This is why we need a free library. So this is what I think.
I think Uta rightly mentioned about India being a democratic country, having a constitution which guarantees right to read for all. But in an absence of a national policy on libraries, we have been violated of that right. So not only absence of any fees or bureaucratic hurdles, Rituparna talked about, morality can also be a barrier where people decide who will wear what and they can enter the library. All these questions can be addressed when there is a policy in place, so that any member, any community member can take a recourse in that policy. Rituparna also talked about the absence of diverse collection of books in the existing libraries in the system. My next question to Shahnaz will be that beyond fees, another major barrier is the kind of books available. How do we ensure that library collections truly reflect the experiences and histories of Dalit, Bahujan, Muslim, queer and marginalized communities?
Thank you, Jatin. That's an important question. And good morning, everyone. Jai Bhim, Salam to everyone. So coming to the collection, so let me just talk about the collection later. First of all, if I just talk about my own experience, we talk about the collection, number of libraries in India and all that. But the thing is, I grew up without libraries. I have absolutely no contact, there's no concept of libraries at school or in our society or colony, wherever I lived. The only thing is so I just thought about what kind of, so I never knew what is library till I entered a corporate life and I saw that there are some books. And they were books which actually interested me. So there were a lot of books which didn't interest me. So what I actually, as a person who was hungry to understand why people not from marginalized people, why they don't have dreams to achieve something. So that's how I thought, what is wrong with it? Then after talking to a lot of intellectual people and all that, I realized that reading is the only way. Okay, reading is the only way through which children will have dreams or aspirations to do something in their life. Otherwise, what I was seeing was it's all about rote learning. Okay, it was just rote learning. When you go to all the schools in India, most of the schools, even forget about the government schools, even the affordable schools, and even say other Christian schools or whatever good schools you go to, you will still see that children are still rote learning. So I was just wondering like how, when is this going to break? Then I realized that libraries are the spaces. Okay, libraries are the spaces, and I realized like libraries is not just about like, because I've gone to libraries to get a membership for myself. And you know, so-called the library, public library, they say that you need to get a signature of a gazetted officer to become a library member. And I had access to a lot of elite people around, in and around, but I failed to get a gazetted officer signature. Is that not actually keeping you away from the library? It's completely exclusionary. And first of all, the collection is not good. So I spoke to public library, officials, higher officials in Karnataka, and tried telling them about this collection, telling them about the accessibility and all that. They said like, please go to one of the best libraries that we have created in Bangalore. Just go to the BTM library and go and have a look at that library. And I thought like my son who is an avid reader, I thought I'll take him to that place. And when I went, the look outside was really, really world class kind of thing. But the collection inside, my son could not stay in that library for 5 minutes also. He said that, Mom, let's go back. There's nothing for me here. Okay, so when we are talking about the collection, see, please, we have to understand that there is something, like we all hear about KYC, right? Know your customer kind of thing. So for the library, there are 2 KYCs which I feel is very, very vital. Know your community. The library should know the community to which it is serving. And then another KYC is like know your collection. So you should know the collection, what you're going to keep. The collection actually has to cater to the community which you are catering to. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to just keep some donated books or some books which have been prescribed by so and so and then keep it in every library. It doesn't work at all. I mean to say, you're not going to create readers. The very purpose of library is not going to serve if you don't have the right collection. So the collection of books in the library is the heart of the library. And nobody disputes like is heart important to a person. Right? Heart is a vital organ. So is collection of the libraries. So if the library collection has to be curated according to who is it like, say it has to be like, say if I talk about like, I talk about where I live, say 200 meters away from this side and 200 meters from away that side, it's a completely different communities. And if I keep the same kind of books in this community and the other community, it's not going to serve any purpose. Right? So I feel like books have to be curated according to the community and depending on the requirements and depending upon the aspirations of the community. What do they aspire to? And the community should actually be able to relate to the books. Relate to the books in the sense like say if they are people from a particular say Dalit community or Muslim community. If I don't see books which are talking about the history of Muslims, okay, so there was a display of book outside and there was a book which is relating to Hyderabad, okay, and it attracted me because I belong to Hyderabad, I am born and brought up there. So if I see a book which is actually talking about my place, which is talking about my identity and which is talking about my history, and the achievers of my history, the struggle or the people who are from my particular identity, had particular struggles and they have gone through something, then I think I will be attracted to that kind of library. So it's very important that collection has to be not just based on a particular ideology. And who is curating the books? Who is curating the books? So the people have to be involved in curating the books. They have to give their suggestions, and it also has to see their educational background. What kind of educational background the community has. So the curation has to be according to what are their aspirations also. If they want to learn some new skills, so they have to be books on that, and they have to be books on the latest technologies or the future technologies. So the collection has to be wide and deep and catering to the particular section. And also libraries have to be a place where you also not just see your own kind of reflections, but you also try to understand other people also. So first thing is you need to understand yourself and you see yourself in the books, and that's how you become readers. That's how you become readers, and then you actually can see the other world also. You'll be open to seeing the other world. So when you see the other world, you also understand the perspective of other world. And these libraries have to be spaces where you have all kind of such books, and they have to be intersectional of people who actually are discussing. Libraries are not silent spaces. Like if you see the libraries which I have visited, all the public libraries, they only cater to, say, they have become more of reading rooms. Okay, where people who are preparing for their examinations, they bring their own books, they bring their own laptops, and then they study there. So I don't think that that is the very purpose of libraries. Reading rooms are important, but purpose of library is to have a discussion, meaningful discussion, so that the barriers which we have created. So the thing is, like, if I am born and brought up in a particular society, like say if I'm surrounded with all Muslims, okay, then how do I understand the other community? Because the kind of schools which I go to may be very similar kind of thing. So how do I break the barriers? So these public spaces are the places which can break barriers. And if you have varied collection, and if you have discussions over collection, over books, that is more meaningful than discussing about your experience. Taking the book as a core, taking different kind of books. So I feel that collection is the heart of libraries, and it is very, very vital that you have to have the right kind of collections, right kind of ideologies which are spread, and something which actually can give children window and mirror. They should be able to see themselves in the books, and they should be able to see other world from in the books, and there should be also sliding doors also. The books can actually act like sliding gates actually, so that you can just aspire to go on the other side too. So if you're in a marginalized, then you don't have to stay there. You can aspire to achieve something more. So that is what books can give. Books can give wings and dreams. Thank you.
Shahnaz has so powerfully talked about the importance of collection in the library, diversity as it introduces to India being such a diverse country. We should have that diversity in our libraries as well. And she also spoke about the collection in a library in Bangalore called as the Silicon City of India. I think the libraries that we run in Delhi and the libraries that are there in Delhi, I think the story is same as Bangalore, the libraries that are being run by the government. And imagine this is about the urban cities that we are talking about, the reality is such. Now just for a second, just imagine 600 kilometers away from Delhi and from Bangalore, there are villages. They don't even have a library. People do not know what library is. And maybe Shahnaz and all of our panelists here started their library because they also came from certain background, a certain privilege. But what about a villager in a community who do not have such privilege? I can talk about my village. I was able to start a library because I had those resources. I have my family backing. I have a social capital around me. So the next question actually begins at who should run these libraries and what should be the funding model of the libraries? Because I think all of us here believe that libraries should be publicly funded. But there is also a valid fear that state could use libraries to push propaganda or create steady space that reinforce existing inequalities. How do we balance the need for public funding with local autonomy? In our People's National Library Policy, we are concerned with this fear, and we have talked that libraries should be autonomous. Ritu, can you talk about this? That how libraries should be publicly funded and should be autonomous at the very same time?
Thank you for the important question. And this is all in our mind also. Who should run the library? I am not supposed to run a library. I am not a librarian. I am not a trained librarian. I am not a professional librarian. And me being coming from a marginalized community, I am overburdened. And we are not supposed to be overburdened. Like all of us sitting here and so many satis of our free libraries network sitting there, running free libraries in different parts of the country, and we are overburdened. Why we need to go around funding, mobilizing money, designing library curriculum, designing library program, curating books, inviting people, and doing it? Then why we are doing it? Because we don't have one of those which we are aspiring, and this is where we are trying to build a model in each of our space or each of our capacity. Or maybe this work we started to do because of the injustice we saw, we faced, we experienced, and we tried to articulate because we could read. and we are trying to build a model. And this is not enough. Like, within our network, we have more than 200 members from different parts of the country and running library. In Kerala, there are so many libraries. But what about places like Nagaland? States like Arunachal, states like Assam, Manipur, in Kashmir, in different parts of our country, that we don't have library. Then how can we have library? It is through taxation. We are paying tax. We are part of a welfare country. It's in our constitution, it's written. It's a welfare country and it is government responsibility to work for us. So then this is government responsibility to build library. Just like schools are there to right to education, and as also you said that it can be tool for running propaganda. But then how we are keeping autonomy? Just like with schools, how we are being able to do it. We know that there are a lot of programs government whenever they want to try to do, but still there we can see that autonomy is there. So then library also how people's voices included in when we are designing the policy. And also the people's voice should be there when it will function as a library. So how we make the system, that will be very important. So it has to be publicly funded. So India do not want to spend on education. We are spending money on enormous other things. In big festivals, in big melas. Make our brand, make our image look good into the world. But why we don't want to invest money? I'm just saying this here, our budget is increasing in some of the component like defense and security so much. But what about the social security of us? What's about the security of the people? That in education you are investing, in pre-thinking you are investing, so that people can come forward and we can build this nation together. Okay, so there we need to invest in this system and how we are bringing those money, and it's a sustained way. It should not be like a scheme that you are just running some centers because someone in the government want to do something. It should be a policy. It should be a system that there is a free flowing of funding every time. It's part of the planning. So this is what we really need to have in our country, and this is what we are talking about within the network, within the free library movement as well. So this is how I want to respond.
Thank you, Ritu. Definitely, library should not be a matter of luck, as have been mentioned in the panel by the panelists before. Library should also not be the consequences of ad hoc efforts, either by some state government or by some bureaucrat. Instead, they should be a matter of right, and that right can only be enforced when we will have a national library policy in place. There are chances that libraries can be a tool of propaganda by the government. We have been hearing that center is trying to move the education as a subject from state list to concurrent list, and they are also forming a national library policy. We are aware of it, but we do not know what is happening, whom they are consulting. Given this, Shahnaz, how do we ensure that libraries that are being planned by the government are not oppressive, but instead aligned with our vision for free anti-caste community-driven libraries?
Okay, thank you, Jatin. So first of all, let's put my stand and our stand together. We don't agree that libraries have to come on concurrent list. Okay, the libraries have to be a state subject, and libraries. So one thing I really appreciate is about national library policy. You're trying to create national library policy, but national library policy, who is going to create the national library policy? So national library policy cannot be created by people who have already created something which has not worked. So it has to. So library policy has to come from library practitioners on the ground. People who really work and who really understand what is the need of the society. What is that children, what is that citizens need? There are children who want to really read, and there are, senior citizens who want to read. And are we making those places inclusionary, and people who are making it inclusionary, people who are making it run in an efficient way and an excellent way, they are the one who should be actually framing national library policies. And they should be consulted for that. It cannot be standalone, like say someone who does not understand something on the ground, but who assumes that they understand something on the ground. So knowing something and thinking that you know something is different from really knowing things. So there has to be a clear distinction between who is actually, so there has to be, when you're talking about library policy, there has to be representation from people who are running the libraries, people who are from the marginalized, people who are from, like we should have people from upper caste, we should have people from Dalit background, we should have Muslims, we should have queer people, we should have people from all the identities. It's not just like say when we are talking about identities, India being so diverse. It's so diverse, like say, as I was saying in my, like say where I stay itself, like say 200 meters from away, one from other, the language differs. Okay, their thinking differs and their demands, their requirements are different. So I think there has to be diverse people who actually have to sit down. So when we are talking about, like say even if we talk about NLP 2020 also itself, like, so teachers complain that nobody were consulted. So I mean to say when we are talking about talking something about education, NEP, sorry. When we're talking about NEP, that's about education, and if teachers are not consulted for like what is education should be, what are their requirements. So I mean to say how anything can, I mean to say how can any policy for that matter can be considered to be a sound policy. See, whatever done, I mean to say that was wrong. I mean to say how the exclusionary, the way it was exclusionary and all that is wrong. But we cannot continue with that. Enough is enough. Okay, we have to go forward and make sure that if the policy is coming, then the policy is going to come from diverse people who are representing India. So that's what I would like to say, that policy has to come from the ground. And from the ground is like people who are working on the ground. Thank you.
Yeah, so definitely enough is enough, and we have seen in the past, in the recent past, that people sitting in New Delhi in a closed AC room are writing the policies which will be implemented on the ground. Again, I'll say that 800,000 kilometers from Delhi, not consulting the libraries that are being run on ground, and consultation should be there definitely. And I think we have been talking about that reading is an act of resistance. And it has always been an act of resistance, whether it's Ambedkar's radical reading, Phule's counter education, or Periyar's publishing movements. Books and libraries have been at the heart of social change. Oshin, how do you think that libraries today can continue this legacy of resistance?
So, I heard my Sathi, Rituparna and Shahnaz talk about the way today queer people, transgender people, Dalit people, Muslim people, Adivasi people, the kind of discrimination that we are facing in this country. The word that Rituparna used is that we are treated as second-class citizens in this country. And which is true, we are treated as second-class citizens, and we also look at ourselves as second-class citizens because the kind of treatment that we have been given to. We have been, as I said, we have been systematically being distanced from knowledge and information. And I believe that when Shahnaz was saying that reading and writing, and I think that reading and writing are very essential tools for us to realize our humanity, and that is why they have been kept away from us. When Shahnaz says that the problem that she realized in her community was that that she felt that they were not dreaming, that they were not aspiring, that they didn't have dreams and they didn't have aspirations, and that is what I realized in my community too. That कि क्या हम ड्रीम नहीं कर रहे हैं, क्या हम एस्पायर नहीं कर रहे हैं. और ऋतुपर्णा ने भी ये चीज़ बोली कि जब that she saw that where she came from, she was the only one who because she had a book in her hand, that is why she could dream and aspire to be more than what she's been told to be. And that is not something that is available to all, and reading and writing are essential tools to realize what we are. We have been culturally, we have been kept away from our cultural and from our culture and histories. We but it said that we do not. When I was born in a Dalit family, I did not know where we came from. I did not know what our history is. I did not know what the kind of violence against perpetrated against my community in the history, the violence against our culture, our religion. We do not know where we come from, and we do not know therefore that where what we do not know the kind of resistance that we are part of before, and what kind of resistance that we want to be a part of in the future. The distancing of knowledge and information keeps us away from our humanity, and reading and writing are very essential tools to realize that identity, and therefore libraries are very essential tools to libraries therefore offer books that teach us the history of our resistance and the history of oppression. The libraries offer to their readers the history of resistance that they have been kept away from. Mm. So,
Yeah, thank you. So, uh, so our Sati talking about book collection and representation in the curation. So, when we are talking about the library space, so Dalit ancestors have a history and they always prioritize the libraries, school education and books. And I have history, but I don't know about that. I realized that I know about Baba Sahib Ambedkar and Savitribai Phule and Ankali in the age of 25. So I realized that how our people inspire and thinking about ourselves, what are doing, what is our priorities, what is our preference and importance of ourselves. So when sorry and even one of the story of my library. So at the age of 25, we are not express myself and what happening between childhood, even in universities, we face caste discrimination and transphobic comments, but not responding and not questioning. But when we are creating our space as a library, we find our children expressing through the stories and poetries. One of our library members is Suraj. One of the library programs writing story. He writes a story about Baba Sahib Ambedkar. He writes, "You are always talking about Baba Sahib Ambedkar and he's write the Indian Constitution, he do many things for our country. But when I see in my school, I saw the Ambedkar photos behind the back of the Almira. And even we are talking about with my teacher, but he beaten me. So when I saw his story, so I talked to Suraj and about that, and I visited regarding this in school. So I talked to teacher. Teacher said, what is the back of the Almira because we need to painting for the wall. Even in the Mahatma Gandhi and others people are in front of the office. So okay, so I thought okay, you can painting the wall. So after 6 months, one of my friend visited in our library. they interested to visit government school in my village. So we together go in school. Same thing saw, and we also click the photo of this situation. And my friend told this, क्यों अम्बेडकर फोटो क्यों पीछे रखे हो? So you know that when you don't know about your history, we don't know about ancestor history, how can you inspire? Even in the upper caste teacher in the schools and every spaces, when we are talking about the library space and anyone public space, we are not talking about book collection, and we are talking only the readers, who is the reader. We are also thinking about the representation and who is the librarian, who is the educator. So we think about though, and library, people national library policy that makes, I thought that's give us the curriculum policy. If the follow this policy, it is strongly, I believe that we will through this policy, it's our Dalit people stories and our transgender people stories, that people, that children inspire with us, and they can speak, they can write, they can read, and they can dream. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to add on to what Amit has said, that libraries are the places where we can realize our humanity, that where we can dream and where we can aspire. These kind of libraries, ये libraries वो वैसी libraries हैं जो People's National Library Policy में लिखी है, वो वही libraries से हो सकती हैं, वो libraries से नहीं हो सकती है जो libraries हम हमारे आसपास देखते हैं, जो libraries government चलाती है. We have been this is the postcard that we had written, and I will talk more about it. But there's a thing that we write here. We demand libraries that are free, anti-caste, non-exclusionary, and autonomous. Such a public library system, which is presently missing from India, is our only means of accessing lifelong learning and employment, information that promotes empowered participation in our democracy and our inclusion in literature.
Oshin has briefly talked about a few lines from the postcard. She'll talk more about it later, but what Amit has shared, that this is not just a single story of a Suraj in some village in Allahabad. There are many such Suraj, there are many such institutions where the picture of Baba Sahab have been kept in the backward. The books have been locked in an iron Elmira, and even the iron Elmira is locked in a room, and people are not being allowed to go and read. And we at Free Libraries Network believe that books are not powerful when they are locked. They are powerful when they are shared, when they are talked about. Thank you so much, Amit and Oshin, for talking about it. We have, since I think past 1 hour, we have been talking about that this is the current situation. This is happening in different parts of India, as shared by the panelists. But what is the road ahead now? We are sitting in 2025 now. Let's talk about the road ahead. We at Free Libraries Network have already begun our Right to Read campaign, which is a mass mobilization effort inspired by the success of Right to Information activism modeled on MKS's campaign. Oshin with us is a community organizer for this campaign. Oshin, I want you to address this crowd to tell more about what concrete actions we can take to push for a national library policy that guarantees access free and inclusive libraries for all.
In 2002, we saw that there was in Rajya Sabha there were talks of making a national library policy. In 2003, we saw that there were talks in the Ministry of Culture that the question of library should be moved from the state list to the concurrent list. And in 2024, we realized that the Ministry of Culture is working on the People's National Library policy, on a national library policy. That is when we realized that we have to take as Free Libraries Network that we have to also write a People's National Library policy, which, as my Sati Shahnaz was saying, that we have there is a kind that libraries have to be created, because libraries are powerful tools. Their knowledge, their local knowledge and information centers, and they could be used. They could be used either ways. They could be used by the government to spread their propaganda, or they could be used by the people who are running libraries on ground and who know how to run excellent libraries according to the needs of their community. Because we knew that there were talks about making a library policy, we thought that it is very important for us to now write a People's National Library policy to show resistance as to what kind of libraries do we really need. Now, the Free Libraries Network is running a Right to Read campaign, where we're saying that we, the people of India, demand the right to read. In a time of unemployment crisis and under threat of climate change, the People's National Library policy offers a way forward in creating a public library system for realizing our constitutional values of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. We are doing a postcard campaign through which we are talking to the trade unions, to student unions, to our grassroots libraries, and to the civil rights organizations as to why we together need a public library system. That reading is a right for all, and reading together is resistance. This is the right to read campaign. And we really need the Indian Library Congress and Kerala to support the People's National Library policy and a right to read campaign. Kerala has a very great history of a fight for the right to literacy, and it has a very proud history of library movement. And we really need the support of the Indian Library Congress and the Kerala for the People's National Library policy and the Right to Read campaign, which is modern on the other cases Right to Read, Right to Information campaign.
I think this conversation makes it clear that the fight for libraries is a fight for justice, and as Shahnaz has mentioned, that the policy should not come from people sitting in New Delhi or people sitting in some closed AC rooms. We are a democracy which is of the people, for the people, by the people. The policy should come from the people, and we cannot leave the question of public libraries to the government alone. And at the very same time, nor we can build a national system through isolated community efforts. We need public funding with community autonomy. We need free and anti-caste libraries and a people's movement to demand the right to read. We need public funding without any state outreach. We need free libraries which provides free access that are truly anti-caste, and a right to read movement that put people first. Through the public national library policy, we can shift the Indian public library landscape so that it becomes relevant not just to few but to all, and that it rises to the responsibility of being a public institution that can grow a powerful culture of reading, new writing, equitable and just spaces for collective engagement in India's democracy. I join Oshin and everybody at Free Libraries Network to invite Indian Library Congress and to resolve to join us in endorsing the PNLP, join our Right to Read campaign, because we need Kerala and we also believe that Kerala needs us. Thank you so much to all our panelists and to this lovely audience for being part of the discussion.
Anybody has questions?
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಶಾಹನಾಜ್ ಸುಲ್ತಾನ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ? ಮೆಂಬರ್ಶಿಪ್ಗೆ ಗೆಜೆಟೆಡ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಸಿಗ್ನೇಚರ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲ? ನೀವು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿ. ಅದು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 250 ಲೈಬ್ರರಿಗಳಿದಾವೆ, ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿಗಳು. ಬಟ್ ನನಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿರೋ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಗೆಜೆಟೆಡ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಸಿಗ್ನೇಚರ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್.
Yeah.
Since 15 years service.
Okay.
Till
I
today,
realize.
till today, not gazetted officer signature, only application, 2 rupees application, just put sign, take it 3 books.
Thank you.
ಕೇಳಿದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಲಿ. BTM ಲೇಔಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಬಿಲ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ, ಅದು ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಸಿಗ್ನೇಚರ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು
ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
ಓಕೆ
ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅದು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮೇಡಮ್.
Thank you. Yeah, that's an important question that he has posed, that I said that there's a requirement of gazetted officer signature in the library when you want membership. So this is the same, like I mean to say, that's experience which I experienced when I went to Jayanagar Central Library. Okay, and you can go to that Jayanagar Central Library as an outsider and ask them. Okay, so I raised the same point to the public library system heads in Karnataka, that how can I was not able to get a gazetted officer signature, and how do you expect a person who is like just a child who is like 10-year-old and from a marginalized, how do they get it? He said that rule has been removed. Okay, he said that rule has been removed, we no longer need a gazetted officer signature. So I'll just answer about that. Then again I went back to the same library after a few months and I asked them, I need membership. So they said 1 rupee or 2 rupees a form, you need to pay 200 rupees membership fees, and he said you need gazetted officer signature. I told him, you don't need gazetted officer signature here. And they said, no, you need a gazetted officer signature. I said, I spoke to your top official, top person in public national library, public library system. I spoke to the topmost position who is like kind of IAS officer. And then they said, okay, if you have spoken to him, then you are exempted from that. You getting it, sir? So they told me like you are exempted because you have spoken to someone else. So maybe the rules have changed. But on the ground, the librarian still asks for the gazetted officer signature. Okay, and then I asked the officials also about, like, why this 200 rupees? Where does this suffice? So does this 200 rupees, is something happening? Are you able to support the library through that? There's nothing to do with that 200 rupees. There's no support and all that. He said, like, how can we actually give the books without some deposit? I said 200 rupees doesn't first of all stop anyone from stealing book. Okay, and second thing is, like I said, don't you trust your citizens? I said, don't we trust our own citizens? We are scared to lose our citizens. We are scared to lose books, but we are not scared that intellectually our people will be like, say, we are losing their intellectual, or we are losing the right people, or people who can read. We are ready to lose people, but we are not ready to lose books. Okay, and why will people actually, if you have free access to something, only when there is limited access or something, people will try to actually, there will be a problem. But if you give free access and you make them feel welcome, this is your place, it belongs to, we run free libraries and we don't have any loss of books. I'm going to say that's a proof we can show that we have open libraries and there is absolutely no loss of books. So what are you keeping? You are actually putting people, you're ready to put people under, cells or other thing, but you want to keep the people under, like say, books inside and people will be outside. Actually, books should be outside and people should be ready to fly. Right? If you give free access, people will read and they'll fly, and that's how the country will grow. We'll grow together. See, only a section of society grows. I don't think that's called developed country. So when we're talking about this thing, and children are ready to read. See, first of all, I have a colony library where I would not like to visit. There is nothing that actually welcomes, and there's one room which is, sorry, you're from Karnataka, let me just tell you, I stay in LIC colony in Jayanagar, and there's one room which is actually filled with all old newspapers. And I told them, can we use this place by keeping our own books from our colony and make it a community center? They said, we can't remove those books. We can't remove those old newspapers. Like it's bundles and bundles of newspapers in the whole one room itself. I'm going to say, see, if you're talking about, we have a lot of libraries. If we say that in India we have, say, for 80,000 people we have one library, and in urban area 11,000 per, 11,000, for 11,000 people we have one library in rural area. So what is this library? I'm going to say, do you call the library as library? See, we have these numbers. But there's an organization who has done this study. So even like if there is a structure without any proper books, without any furniture, all broken, no toilets, nothing, still you consider that to be library. So library is something which you have to think about, like say if you're making a house, okay, do we have certain basic things when you're constructing a house? Right? We need a structure, we need certain things in the structure. So that basic things actually is something which library is made up of. A proper infrastructure, a proper curated books, and welcoming spaces. See, if you just imagine, I come to your house, or maybe you just come to my house, okay, and I actually don't treat you well. I don't. So, do you think you're going to come to my place next time? Or I'll come to your place. Your place may be like something like a palace also, okay? It may be really a beautiful palace kind of thing. Will I ever and would like to enter your house? Maybe I'm happy living my poor life, okay? But I would not like to enter a place which is not welcomed. So I think that is how public libraries are. They are not really welcoming, like they're not welcoming spaces. They have to become welcoming spaces. They have to understand like people from all sections of society, however they dress shabbily, they dress in a traditional way or whatever they dress up like say whatever way you call it, modern or traditional. Everybody should be welcome, right? Whatever languages you speak, still you should be welcome. You're able to read or you're not able to read also, they should be welcome. Just because you can read, then you are given a privilege to read is not right. So maybe someone is coming there to explore a new world. So I think it should be exclusionary. And yes, sir, I think if on the ground, if everybody knows that you don't need those kind of things, you can talk to the library and there go as an outsider and see. Still, they will ask you for public library. I mean to say, they'll ask you for the gazetted officer's signature, which unfortunately I was not able to get it. Thank you. Did I?
First of all, thank you for that wonderful discussion. It gave us a lot of insight on how grassroots level library movements made grassroots level libraries, community libraries, how they function. So thank you so much. I just wanted to get some advice, some tips from you all, because you all have built libraries up from the ground. Suppose if we want to organize a library in our community, we all are students of Delhi University, most of us are in North Campus, and there's no free libraries there. All of them, like Satish Anas also mentioned, that it's all just places where UPSC aspirants come to sit and read. There's no library set up. So if we want to set up a space like that, where do we begin from? Because it's not easy to get a space, and funding also. Where do we begin? What are the basic steps to start in organizing community? Thank you.
I did not expect that this question will come, because we take it up in different ways and all, and also again that is also our burden, that we need to educate our own people how to do it. But then that's a good thing also thing. But then again, let's not try to think that individually we will build more and more library. Okay, we have models. Let's ask the government, you give us the library we deserve, and this is our right. Okay, so if you can come and join with us in the movement, the right to read, that will be more powerful. Then you will not to do the extra hard work to build another library. Don't do this. It will be so much of hard work. Okay, so yeah, we all are suffering in that way, but we love this work. We love this work. That's what we're doing. So one thing is that we have to understand the community. What KYC, Senas was saying. So, and what the community need is, and a community will guide you how to build a library. We really do not have a prescription in that way, to tell our community people, but we have a policy to tell the government that this is how the libraries should be. So please read this and come and join in this movement. so that we can have those library, and all the steps are there. That vision is very important. So with the vision, we can develop. Okay, I hope I answered your question.
I think that it's disturbing when librarians, and I think it's a room full of people who in some way or another are part of libraries, so in some way or another we are all librarians, whether we're policymakers or members of parliament or bureaucrats or frontline library workers or activists in the library space or panchayat workers, we're all librarians. So it's very disturbing if any of us allow ourselves in our practice or our ideology. I'm going to take my privilege as a previous speaker on that stage to say, let us believe people who say they were excluded from the library system. Let us not question, because it is 1 in 100,000 excluded person, and it takes 100,000 excluded persons to educate and put one person on a stage, and it takes an organized movement of resistance for those people to reach the stage. Nobody is on this stage except for the fact that Indian Library Congress we trust has resistance inside it. So let us believe the people on the stage that they had to pay fees, faced casteism, had to show proof of their humanity, and get gazetted officers to prove it for them, and that they could not get gazetted officers to prove it for them. If we in this room cannot believe this, then sorry, I won't. I will speak. If we cannot believe this, then what are we here for? We are here to make something better, right? And now for my question. Does somebody on stage want to speak about the harm in creating entire systems out of donated books?
I think the question that Nurla has said, that whether we want to build a library with donated books or not. Yeah, so when I think I can speak just for myself for this question, that when we started building Basa Community Library, I was a law student back then. This is 2019, 2020. And when we started talking about that we're building a library, everybody around me was like, we will give you books, please don't worry about the books. We started getting books, even in Delhi, we started transporting them from here. Upon opening the cartons there in Basa Library, the members were very excited that there are books. But we saw books which have been used, which are torn, which are highlighted. My people do not deserve that. And although we still take and keep donated books, but we don't want to fill our libraries with that. And then we say our community that, see, we have built a library for you, because they deserve better. Everybody deserves better. And again, it becomes a matter of right for them. And PNLP and a national library policy will answer to this, will provide funds for the new books. Everybody likes new books, everybody loves the smell of new books. Why do my people are abstain from the smell of these new books and they use donated books?
Thank you, Madula, for taking this up and sharing. And also the restlessness among us when there was a question about it, when Senas mentioned, that same restlessness, if we see to ask question to the power, then we can achieve more. Like not, asking questions to the peers or your fellow citizen, but the same way that power making accountable them, I think that will help us as a community of citizens and in this country. So this is what I just want to say. So we're small, we should be together in that way. That is more powerful, and not to question and jeopardize someone's in that way. So about your question about the harm of donation, one thing I will just say, I deserve best. That is my right. With a glossy new paper as much as children in a rich house or in an oppressor caste house deserve. This is what I deserve in a marginalized community. I do not deserve someone what it's called मतलब जो छोड़ देते हैं झूठा, yeah, in that way, but that's a very strong word also. But then, and also, because you are poor, you do not deserve the poor solution. You deserve the best solution, and you deserve the equal solution, which is dignity. This is what my take on. Like just what you say, that someone read it and highlight it. Maybe there are some pages missing also. Why that charitable mode has to be there? It's a rightful thing. You get the new book, you get the best book. And what about the curation and the collection? And the curation has to be political. How can you do curation when you will have random books coming and as if your library is a dumping ground? No, my library is not a dumping ground for the children because I am not working with underprivileged children. I am not working with poor children. I am working with citizens of this country, and we deserve equal treatment and equality. As I said, our Novels library is a dumping ground, and this is why we do not need random donation, because in your new flat there is no space for your old books. Most of the people, the rich people, the people who can afford, they donate books because they do not have space in the new flat, new building, because they need to clean one of their corner. Because they are getting new things. So that's not my place. So we need dignity, we need respect, we need equal treatment. That's it. So just treat everyone as an equal citizen of this country. Then we will be able to see the solution very clearly. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just answer shortly to that thing about donated books. So we at Reading Stars India have a policy like we will not accept any donated books. Because first we had these donated books, and as Rituparna said, for most of them when you're talking about donating of books, it's all about cleaning their homes. Okay, they want to make space for some new things or something. So, and then we are like, the people, maybe very well-meaning people are donating. I don't like, so half the people I will not actually doubt their intention of donating because they really love their books and then they feel like someone else will also love their book. But the kind of background that they come from, like say most of them are reading Annie Blaytons when they were growing up, and our children cannot relate to the kind of holidays that they go, the ginger beer that they eat, and then those kind of things are not, children will not able to relate. Just because you want to keep books, you cannot keep books. So I am actually against donated books until unless they are actually coming from as an addition, which maybe our children will read once they become advanced readers. So these are beginner readers because I work with schools. So, and I just wanted to add one more thing, like we are struggling to make our children readers because our program is taken by the teachers. And the teachers are actually themselves are not readers because they have never got access any time in their life to any library system in any way, good, bad or whatever it is. They have never read. So how do you expect a teacher who has not read and who have not had love for reading will actually get into? And we just read, we thought we'll just have to read with teachers in detail and then make them readers. So we read a book which is almost 100-year-old. Okay, that is Gijubhai Badika's Divaswapna book. We read over a month, 2 months or 3 months period. And you won't believe, teachers are saying it looks like the story is about our school. Everybody has written our school story here. And can you believe that is 100 years back? They did not have access to reading material, the kind of facilities that they were there. Even 100 years down the lane, we are still the same. They're questioning, ma'am, how is it that we have not changed? So even now they started questioning and they have understood that they need books to read, but who will provide the books for teachers to read? We are accessing to children. We don't have those many resources. Each teacher have their own taste. So we need good public libraries, and donated books are not going to actually cover up the books which we, so it has to be well curated books. Thank you.
Myself, Dr. Rajat Kaur, and I have worked in public libraries as a government employee for more than 2 decades. And you have, put up the right questions, and you yourself have answered, if you go through all these, that we lack a policy. Meaning policy which answers all the questions. I think that should be the very clear written policy for the libraries as what to run. Each question and the problem you have discussed here, and myself personally faced, and myself personally found the solution for that. As you said that the gazetted officer signature, it is still there in the public library, Punjab. I put up to the higher authorities, those who frame policies, let Aadhaar card be the membership patron for everyone as we use this. Till the date, it has not been resolved. The fees you have been talking to, it has been decided by the higher authorities. We cannot, as a government official, change or reduce. And even the cash, if we answer about, we cannot. If we are, so many people ask us, you take a money, for the book, we can take it home, just give it, it is very essential for us. We cannot do that. We want to help the users, We want that the library should be put to use. But the officer sitting there is also answerable to the government. You are talking about that if the books are there, open access system, it is very much need of the libraries. But many colleagues, those who have adopted that policy that books, if theft is there, let the libraries being used, are being penalized, charge sheeted, because they didn't adhere to the government rules. So your intentions to serve the people goes by certain policies as we have discussed. We need those things. And donation use is, with donation we have opened up in my district many libraries. I have opened up the community donation library in a jail, in a hospital, TB hospitals, those who pay for the patients. And we had an open langar, in Punjab, langar is a free food, we service there. We have, in my district library, people used to come with this request, this is the right place, you have been dealing with the books, so why don't you accept these? They give all the, torn books, which they are not using, those books, and if we say no to that, they used to fight with us. They said, why do you say no? You are the right place and we are not selling them, we are donating you, why don't you make use? Then we have to think of, we put a langar in the library, those who need those books, like we just went to the schools, colleges, even if the IT books are there, donated by some students, we consulted to the colleges, do you need all these books with your collection? Or the other schools which they need, or the community, there are free libraries, do you need these books? And we welcome them. We have to think of all those of our own because we didn't have any policies. One thing you have associated with the free library network because you have a common cause and the common problem, that is why you have been there on that platform. So the answer to all these questions, that right to read, I had a 1 month program with government schools, reading month program, going there, telling the teachers over there how to make a reading pleasurable. You don't want to go there, sit in a library for 40 minutes and be quiet there. Don't make it a very torturing, to sit in a library quiet and not enjoying that reading. And I organized a workshop in my library for the school librarians as how to make our libraries more much lovable places in your schools, because many of the children, they only access the libraries in the school itself. Their first visit to the library is not in a public library. Though we believe that the journey of a reader starts from a public library. And senior citizens come to the library as a reader when they are not able to go to any other library. So all this, we have to come with that librarian or non-librarian, we need a solid written policies to address all these issues which we have rightly put up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Prabjot, for talking about the, I'll say, failure of the public library system, and also accepting and joining us in demanding the People's National Library policy. With limitations of time, we won't be able to take another question. I would again like to reiterate that we invite Indian Library Congress to join us for the Right to Read movement, to endorse our People's National Library policy. And again, I would say that we need Kerala, and we also believe that Kerala needs us. Thank you so much again for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for the wonderful session. Now we have a tea break. The tea will be served outside and we have a 5 minutes break.